Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's FearsomeFire here, and I am back with another Super Mario Odyssey speedrunning tech showcase video. And in today's video, guys, I will be showing you a really cool Lake Kingdom clip that is going to allow us to reroute the Lake Kingdom in Super Mario Odyssey. The Super Mario Odyssey any percent world record has been improving a lot in the past month, and it's really gotten optimized to the point where we're really running out of time to save. Now, because it's getting so optimized and it's so much harder to save time, a lot of speedrunners are starting to consider some routes that we never really considered before because they were just way too difficult, one of them being this Lake Kingdom reroute. Now, before I go any farther, I'm just going to show you guys a clip right now of which parts of the Lake Kingdom get rerouted and how this reroute works in general, so you guys can see what I'm talking about, and then I can explain it farther.
Good job.
So like a lot of other reroutes recently, this reroute adds in a bunch of singular moons using some pretty insane tech to skip a boss fight. In particular, we're skipping the Rango boss fight here in the Lake Kingdom, and by skipping this boss fight, it allows us to not have to go through with all the cutscenes that are attached to that boss fight, which is the main reason why that multi-moon sequence takes so long. Now, breaking this reroute down piece by piece, the first thing we have is the clip, and this is a very precise clip. It's actually what is called a corner clip, and we've known about corner clips for a very long time in this game. However, this is the first time we've ever really taken one into account in an actual speedrun. Now, there's very little leeway to deal with when it comes to corner clips. I'm not going to say that they are pixel perfect, but they are probably pretty close to it, and pretty much you need to roll directly in the corner of two walls. It only works on certain walls in this game, but this is one of them. You can roll in the corner of these two walls and it allows you to actually just clip right through. Now, to prevent ourselves from rolling past these two walls, we need to make sure that we throw our cap before we actually do the roll, so it will stop us, it will make us do a little jump and stop us from actually just going directly back inbounds. This corner clip has some big disadvantages that make it even harder than most other corner clips in the game. The first one, and the main one, being the fact that we cannot go in first person mode when behind this wall. For some other advanced tech in this game where we need to have really good alignment, we're usually able to use first person mode because it gives us a very precise alignment for how Mario needs to stand and which way he needs to face. For whatever reason, when we're behind here and we cannot see Mario, you cannot go in first person mode. And that brings me on to my second point, is the fact that we cannot actually see Mario, we can only see his shadow. This one isn't as bad because you're still able to align with Mario's shadow, but it does add in an extra layer of difficulty to make it even harder and make it even less consistent than we'd want it to. Moving on to the second part of this clip is the actual out of bounds movement, and this is just as crazy as clipping in, if not even crazier. After you do the roll and get this small little cap bounce, you then want to throw Cappy backwards a little bit, just a little bit, to move back a tiny bit, do a ground pound jump up into the left, kind of. I can't really explain it very well, but you can see it in the video. Do this ground pound jump, and then cap jump off of Cappy backwards to wall jump on this out of bounds wall, then doing an up throw and a homing cap throw to hit a checkpoint flag up by the painting moon, and then diving down going towards the next moon. Because so much of this takes place out of bounds, it's very difficult to explain to you how it works exactly. It's honestly more of a thing where you just need to test it out yourself to really understand how it works and how the alignment works. But let's just say that it's way more precise than it looks. There are so many spots that you can fall where you can either clip back inside, you can either fall out of bounds like under, you can either just like bonk against the wall or hit your head up against the wall. There's so many different ways to fail this movement, and it's really precise, and there is not much room for leeway here either. After doing this main out of bounds movement and we dive down towards the waterway, we then just want to do a ground pound, hit the waterway chest moon, grab it, and then warp up to the painting flag that we just grabbed. Now from here we want to grab the painting moon as fast as possible. and then roll off the edge, go down and grab the cheap to continue the lake route how it used to work. You know, we're still getting the moons that we used to get, so the one by the cheap, and then the dory moon, and then the pillar moon. However, at the very end, instead of going up towards Rango like we would in the previous Lake Kingdom route, we are instead going over towards this NPC moon to talk to the NPC, get a moon, and then warp away and go to the Odyssey. So, we do all of that craziness, which probably improved the difficulty of the Lake Kingdom by like 10 times. We do all of that craziness, and you may be wondering, Fearsome, how much does it save? How much do we save from doing all of that? Well, it turns out that this route realistically is only going to save about 3 to 3.5 seconds. Now, obviously, this is 3 to 3.5 seconds if you get this really hard alignment for the clip first try. Most runners right now are not getting this first try. It's taking them multiple tries to actually get the proper alignment, clip, and setup, and then actually doing the out of bounds stuff. It takes them super duper long, and most runners aren't even really saving time if they're trying to do this in practice. However, just like everything, people are going to get better at the game, and I do think that eventually in a couple months from now, we are going to see most of the top tier runners going for this, even though it is immensely difficult, just because of the fact that Super Mario Odyssey is becoming so immensely optimized right now, it's not even funny, and even small time saves like this, you know, 3 seconds is a lot, and time saves like this, even adding in so much more difficulty, people are still going to want to go for it. People are still going to pretty much need to go for it, especially if we continue our quest to trying to get sub 1 hour. Some other things to mention is the fact that it's probably not just useful for any percent. We actually have ways in which we could route this out into some of the longer categories as well. However, it's so difficult that it's really not worth it for these longer categories where time save is much more abundant than it is in Super Mario Odyssey any percent. And then a final thing to mention, which might be a little bit confusing, but bear with me here, is the fact that if you actually compare this Lake Kingdom reroute to a Lake Kingdom non-reroute where you actually fight Rango, even though the Lake Kingdom reroute in total saves 3.5 seconds, when you compare them side by side, it's only going to seem to save around 1 to 2 seconds. This is because of the checkpoint flag that we grab. The first time that you grab a checkpoint flag in a regular run-through of Super Mario Odyssey, there is this Cappy text that comes up, this warp text that comes up, that takes around 1.5 seconds. Usually we get this in the Metro Kingdom, so we get rid of that 1.5 seconds that we waste, it's in the Metro Kingdom, but because we're getting a checkpoint flag even earlier in the game, this Cappy text actually comes up in the Lake Kingdom instead. Which of course means that overall in the entire run we are still saving the 3.5 seconds, but when you compare this reroute to the old Lake Kingdom, it's only going to seem to save about 1 to 2. And that's pretty much all of the main stuff that I really have to say about this Lake Kingdom reroute. It's honestly really cool. It's definitely going to make the run more interesting and more harder. It's going to increase the skill gap. There's no doubt about that. But it's pretty insane that we are doing all of these crazy things, or we're getting to the point where runners are starting to do all these crazy things just to save a couple of seconds overall. It's honestly really crazy, and it just shows you how optimized Super Mario Odyssey has become in the past year. I actually borrowed a decent amount of gameplay in this video from some other speedrunners, so huge shoutouts to Stravos96, Chaos Pringle, B-Barbs, and Lil Curbs for that gameplay. I will leave a link to all of their Twitch channels below. I urge you guys to go follow them. If you guys found this video interesting, then I'd highly recommend you check out my Brunching Kingdom reroute video if you have not done so already. It kind of goes off the same idea of doing all these crazy things to just save a little bit of time in Odyssey, and it's also a very cool reroute that is just, you know, being taken into place and being considered for Super Mario Odyssey. So I'd highly recommend that you check that video out as well. If you guys like this video, remember to leave a like and subscribe. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed and have a wonderful day.